Stream Elements said, hi_alpha_dog door is now live. Streaming DCS World, Corsair Lesson, DCS.
Meet the Corsair. She's a big, tough, heavily built shipboard fighter pulling 2,000 horsepower on the takeoff. Let's have a look at how to get the engine running. Let's go through the pre-start checklist. Cowl flaps open.
Why does it keep zooming forward for no apparent reason? There ain't nothing suitable for me find my body.
Prop control in low pitch, high RPM.
Check.
Lower to neutral. Mixture control in idle cutoff.
Check.
Now crack the throttle 1 inch open. All set. Now let's start the engine. Battery switch to on. Now move the fuel selector valve to reserve. Turn on the auxiliary electric fuel pump. It'll automatically control fuel pressure in case it should drop below a certain level. Press and hold the engine primer switch for 5 seconds, or a little longer if the weather's cold. Ignition switch, both. Now for the actual starting, let's talk through what will happen first. Press and hold the brakes, flip the starter cover, then hold the starter switch. The engine will start rotating, and once RPMs are around 300, the mixture control is gradually moved to automatic rich. Do this slowly to avoid flooding the engine. When the engine catches and RPM rises above 500, release the starter switch and adjust the throttle to give not more than 750 RPM. Now some pilots prefer to begin this procedure with the ignition off. They press the starter, count 6 to 8 blades, and only then they turn the mags on. This is to ensure the engine is properly lubricated before it catches. Press spacebar when you're ready to start.
Clear prop.
The engine is running. it's time to unfold the wings. Unlock them by turning and lowering the D handle.
Why does it keep doing it?
Now move the hydraulic control lever to the spread position. A warning horn will blow throughout the last 7 degrees of wing spreading operation. When the wings are fully extended, the small doors at the wing joints close, indicating that the hinge pins are in position. Then, these hinge pins are locked by pulling up on the D handle and turning it clockwise. If required, turn on the external lights. Set the altimeter to read 0 for field elevation. Leave the canopy open for now. Note that the canopy is not designed for speeds greater than 300 knots, so if you plan to go beyond 300 knots, you'll have to close the canopy. This concludes the startup lesson. Open the next one to learn how to taxi and take off. Now that you know how to start the Corsair, it's time to get airborne. Unlock the tail wheel by moving the T handle to the upper position. Otherwise, turning will be very difficult. Increase throttle to 1000 to 1500 RPM and release the brakes to taxi away from the line. Allow the aircraft to get some speed. Once the aircraft is on the move, best taxi speed is maintained with approximately 800 RPM. Use rudder input along with tapping the brakes to change direction. Taxi to the runway and stop on centerline. Do not allow the aircraft to accelerate beyond 10 to 15 knots. The brakes are very effective, but don't attempt a long taxi requiring a lot of braking. You can't get rid of the heat, and as you can see, taxiing is necessarily slow because of the necessity of S-turns to get better forward vision. Very good. Now stop on centerline and hold the brakes. Prior to takeoff, you check the following. Wings spread and locked. Tail wheel. Arresting hook control up. Fuel tank selector on reserve. A 50-gallon standpipe in the main tank. The main tank is pressurized and self-sealing. It has a total capacity of 230 gallons, and it's the only tank to have a quantity gauge. Mixture control in automatic rich. Blower in neutral. Propeller control down for maximum RPM on the takeoff. Cowl flaps 1/3 to 2/3 open.
Whoa, I've done the super zoom thing again. Cowl flaps 2/3 open. I think they are already.
Intercooler closed.
Check.
Oil cooler open as required. Flaps down to 20 degrees. Set the rudder tab 6 degrees right. Aileron 6 degrees right, wing down.
Oh, you bastard.
Elevator tab 1 degree, nose up. These settings compensate. Now that you know how to start the Corsair, it's time to get airborne. Unlock the tail wheel by moving the T-handle to the upper position. Otherwise, turning will be very difficult. Increase throttle to 1000 to 1500 RPM and release the brakes to taxi away from the line. Allow the aircraft to get some speed. Once the aircraft is on the move, best taxi speed is maintained with approximately 800 RPM. Use rudder input along with tapping the brakes to change direction. Taxi to the runway and stop on centerline. Do not allow the aircraft to accelerate beyond 10 to 15 knots. The brakes are very effective, but don't attempt a long taxi requiring a lot of braking. You can't get rid of the heat, and as you can see, taxiing is necessarily slow because of the necessity of S-turns to get better forward vision.
Infield 1, passing waypoint 1 at 700. Uzi 1, airborne.
Very good. Now stop on centerline and hold the brakes.
Infield 1, passing waypoint 2 at 300.
Prior to takeoff, you check the following. Wings spread and locked. Tail wheel locked. Arresting hook control up. Fuel tank selector on reserve. A 50-gallon standpipe in the main tank. The main tank is pressurized and self-sealing. It has a total capacity of 230 gallons, and it's the only tank to have a quantity gauge. Mixture control in automatic rich. Blower in neutral. Propeller control down for maximum RPM on the takeoff. Cowl flaps 1/3 to 2/3 open. Intercooler closed. Oil cooler open as required. Flaps down to 20 degrees. Set the rudder tab 6 degrees right. Aileron 6 degrees right, wing down. Elevator tab 1 degree, nose up. These settings compensate for the left wing heaviness due to engine torque. Now hold the brakes and increase the throttle to 1700 RPM to check your mags fairly quickly.
Well,
Drop shouldn't exceed 100 RPM,
I like the way
and
you
is
talk.
usually between 50 and 75. Freedom from vibration
There you go,
is a
mate.
good indication that the big engine is functioning properly. Throttle back to 750 RPM and press the spacebar when you're ready to go.
Now hold the brakes, push 1700. Don't exceed 100 RPM. Alright. RPM is there. Why did my engine stop? What the? Maybe hard to start her if the engine stopped.
Not around for long, just saw you on so figured I'd swing by and tell you what a lovely cunt you are.
Oh, isn't that sweet? As charming as ever. Dig it. Why is my volume so soft? I don't understand. Maybe I need to change my headset. Yeah, I think I do. Un momento. That's really the stupid thing.
You around much this coming weekend?
I'll switch to this lovely thing. How's Wells Bells this day? What's that? Actually, I can't hear a bloody thing until I change my sound source, so hold that thought. Where are we? Ah, there we go. Say something? This coming weekend, I know we're going to be away probably Saturday, but I'm probably about on Sunday. Something. Throttle back to 750. Oh, it's letting me run the engine now. What happens if I put the mixture in? Bring it up to 1700 RPM. That's 1700 RPM, isn't it? Throw it back to 750 and press space bar. Alright, 750.
Hold on, maybe hosting a cookout this weekend, but the day itself is in question. Friday or Saturday, weather dependent.
Yup. Cookout, huh? The weather's in the sweet spot, no doubt.
It's time to take off.
Jesus, it's loud.
Ease the throttle forward slowly while holding the brakes and the stick fully back. When the manifold pressure reaches 30 inches, release the brake and ease the stick slightly forward with the center position to raise the tail. As you keep increasing the throttle and the tail comes up, be prepared to counter the tendency to yaw left. She'll take off very nicely with 45 inches at 2700 RPM, but you can pull up to 53.5 inches if needed. Don't pull the airplane up until you have 90 knots or more. If you do, you'll have some deficiency of aileron control and left wing heaviness. Smoothly fly it off the field. You're airborne. Now retract the landing gear and check the landing gear position indicator. When you have 110 to 120 knots and enough altitude, bring the flaps up in easy stages, about 10 degrees at a time. This way you can control a flap failure.
I couldn't hear it before because the headphones I have are garbage. Turn that down a lot.
And you won't lose altitude.
Would be too much options. What about how about now?
Note that flaps are hydraulically powered and have a safety valve. If extended, they will assume max allowed position depending on the aircraft's speed and flap position. This means that they will try to retract as you accelerate, or extract if you decelerate and forget to retract them.
A bit better.
Yeah, my mic's problematic. If I turn it up anymore, I tend to be a bit discordant. Damn it. That's up the hydraulic power. You want me to put them up there? Why does it keep recentering my head?
You can use full takeoff power for a military climb of about 3,000 feet per minute, but after a maximum of 5 minutes, you must throttle back to normal range power for continuous operation. 43.5 inches at 2550 RPM in neutral blower. With this power setting, the rate of climb will be about 2,000 feet per minute at a best climbing speed of 125 knots. At about 8,000 feet, you'll have lost about 3 inches of manifold pressure. If you want to continue at the same rate of climb, you must throttle back 3 to 4 inches of mercury, open the intercooler flap, and shift to low blower. Increase your manifold pressure to 47.5 inches and keep climbing. You can carry this power up to 13,500 feet, where again, you will note the loss of about 3 inches of mercury. If you want more altitude, throttle back to lose an additional 3 to 4 inches and shift to high blower, followed by 48 inches of manifold pressure. Always keep your intercooler flaps about half open when using low or high blower to maintain intake mixture temperatures within safe limits. A red warning light will indicate excessive temperatures and warn you to reduce power.
Yes, mate.
Open the intercooler flaps wide and if necessary, shift to a lower blower. Use automatic ridge for all your climbing and maneuvering. You're using a lot of power, and if your mixture is not rich enough, there's a danger of running up the engine.
Why?
Use a partial power climb if the tactical
Like
situation permits.
crazy random
Around
wind.
135 knots is about the best indicated speed. The cylinder heads have a rather high limitation, 260 degrees, and this should be used with caution. Oil temperature shouldn't exceed 95 degrees. For a carrier takeoff, you'll use about half flaps 20 to 30 degrees with full power while holding the plane with the brakes. Extreme caution must be observed to hold the tail down with the stick to prevent nosing over and taking the prop into the deck. This concludes the takeoff lesson. You can exit now or fly around until your tanks are dry.
How about we work out why my screen keeps zooming?
Hey mate, being called out for dinners. I'll check in on you in a day or two.
Alright,
Bye.
mate. Say hi to fam. Love you.
Samesies to wifey. Wubs.
Oh, why does it keep doing that? Fuck. Then you could randomly zoom in and hold the... Just controls. Looks little... That's my Moser base, and that is my zoom button. Canopy engine. Actually, it's not. It's going to be under UI layer, isn't it? Man, come on. We spyglass zoom. What if I just clear combo? Something is bound to that, and I don't know what it is. Unless the pot on my stick is broke. That could be it. I'm gonna stall this bad boy. Any second. Maybe that's it. I think the pot on my stick is broke. Because it is no longer auto zooming. It's so much nicer. I put my head forward. Yeah, that's good. Let's play with our trims, baby. Still recentering, oh, and randomly firing. I think maybe my stick is broken. Right, so let us give her, move my stupid virtual hand so I can see. Put that there. I'll put that over there. What's going on with my climb rate? Let's do a little turn on that boat down there. To my altitude, 3,000 feet, 3,000 is good. Do with a bit of elevated trim, just a little bit, just a little bit. That feels better. Let's turn in on this bad boy. Maintaining my turn elevation. It's better. Go nose on. Oh man, it just keeps randomly frickin' shooting. What a bastard face. Something seriously wrong.
It's time to land the Corsair. Ahead of you are a series of gates to help you fly a correct pattern. Now let's go through the landing checklist. Canopy, open. Tail wheel, locked. Fuel tank selector, on reserve. Mixture, automatic rich. Blower to neutral. Propeller control, 2300 to 2400 RPM. Cowl flaps, closed. Now verify that your gun switches are off and gun charging knobs are in the safe position. When you're ready, press the spacebar to unpause the lesson. Overfly the runway at 800 feet at 120 to 150 knots. Then begin your turn following the gates. You'll usually need around 18 to 19 inches of manifold pressure. As you turn downwind, extend your landing gear and lower the flaps to 30 degrees. Slow down to about 110 knots. When your wingtip is pointed just past the end of the runway, begin your turn on final. We use a curved approach so that the long nose won't obscure the runway. Ideal approach speed is around 95 knots. Control your airspeed with the elevator and the glide slope with the throttle.
Yeah, way too quick.
Try to touch down on the main wheels in a 2-point attitude. If the tail is forced down at high speed, the aircraft will bounce back in the air and probably stall. However, when the tail is held up by the forward pressure on the stick, the buffeting effect will be slight and swerving will be minimized. Notice that the airplane should be down on all 3 points before the brakes are touched. You can't see directly ahead, therefore you must be doubly alert to maintain your path.
That'll do, donkey, that'll do. That'll do. Black Magic, how you doing, brother? What's happening?
Congratulations on your first landing. This concludes our lesson.
Huzzah. Can I put it on a carrier? That is the question. This music's a bit not what I'm hoping for. Let's go.
It's time to land the Corsair. Ahead of you are a series...
I don't want to do this mission again. Carrier landing. What could possibly go wrong? Come on, load.
You can land the Corsair on a field, but it's also a naval fighter. You'll need to be able to find your way back to the carrier, maybe low on fuel, and maybe damaged or wounded, and set her down safely. In this mission, rectangular gates will help you fly the correct World War II pattern. Make sure you go through the landing checklist. Canopy open. Tail wheel unlocked. Fuel tank selector on reserve. Mixture automatic rich. Blower to neutral. Propeller control 2300 to 2400 RPM. Cowl flaps closed. Now verify that your gun switches are off and gun charging knobs are in the safe position. When you're ready, press the spacebar to unpause the lesson. Slow down to 120 knots indicated, and as you fly alongside the ship, verify that the landing area is clear. Once half mile past the ship, begin your brake at a 30-second interval. This time it's only you. Turn downwind 180 degrees to end up 1,000 to 1,200 yards off the ship, descending to an altitude of 200 feet. Lower your landing gear and extend your flaps to 50 degrees. Hook down. When you're abeam the fantail, commence your turn, descending to 90 feet mean sea level. Control your airspeed with the elevator and the glide slope with the throttle. At the 90, keep your airspeed around 95 knots. To keep the ship in sight, we'll keep the approach curved for as long as possible. When you're 15 to 20 feet above the deck, cut your throttle, dump your nose for a second, and pull back to a 3-point position. Cut! Welcome aboard, son. Now raise your hook and flaps, fold the wings, and taxi forward to clear the landing area.
Oh yeah.
Now that you know how to fly the Corsair, it's time to take the fight to the enemy. The F4U is armed with 650 caliber Browning machine guns, 3 in each wing. There are 6 ammunition boxes, 2 per gun, in each outer panel, supplying 400 rounds of ammunition to each inboard and intermediate gun, and 375 rounds to each outboard gun. The guns are charged hydraulically and fired electrically. In order to unleash the wrath of the Corsair, first you need to flip the master arm switch to the arm. Turn on the individual gun switches. They select which guns fire. You can fire them separately or all at once. Turn on the gun sight. The switch has 3 positions. The on and the out position are the same in the simulation. Set the desired brightness on the gun sight. Press in the gun charging knobs. Your guns are ready to be fired. When you're ready, press the spacebar to unpause the lesson. 2 bandits will spawn in front of you in a shallow turn. Splash the zeros.
Yeah, sloppy. That's a bit better.
Good shooting. He's going down. Now, get the other one. That's what I'm talking about. He didn't stand a chance. This concludes our lesson. If you want to practice, there are 2 more zeros over Covaletti.
screaming. 1 sec. Where'd you go? Okay. I will be right back. Right. Oh,